Hello everyone, I'm Adim, technical producer here at GOG, and today is the day I finally get to say it. Or I can play you a song. That's right, we released Final Fantasy VII on GOG. The most important game of all time is here. We are super excited to be adding the original Final Fantasy VII to the GOG platform. This is the new revised version. It includes modern quality of life improvements in the form of boosters that we've seen in previous Final Fantasy re-releases. While this classic JRPG entry was Square's breakout title for the PS1, it wasn't actually their first PS1 release. That was Stowell #1. However, many argue that Final Fantasy VII, leaving the cartridge generation of consoles and introducing 3D graphics and pre-rendered backgrounds for the first time, was also one of the main breakout titles for the PS1 itself, one that changed the industry forever. What actually makes this title so special, aside from the pure nostalgia of the original PlayStation era? Let's start with the story. After an amazing intro cutscene, we take control of Cloud, a former soldier who is thrown right into the center of an Avalanche group operation. Avalanche's goal? Blowing up one of the reactors that the Shinra electric power company uses to suck up the planet's energy, known as Mako, to power their metropolis Midgar city, and eventually control the whole world through its independency on this power. The problem that Avalanche has with Shinra? Using Mako energy actually slowly kills the planet. Our beautiful boy Cloud couldn't care less about all this. He just wants to get paid. That is until he reunites with his childhood friend Tifa. Then he meets another girl, a mysterious flower girl named Aeris, who seems to know way more than she should. What starts as a guerrilla mission against a corrupt corporation quickly spirals into a rescue mission, then a runway mission, and then eventually forces our characters to leave Midgar behind. That is where they learn that apart from Shinra, there is a much more sinister threat emerging. And that threat is a man wearing the black cape who is looking to settle a very old and very deadly score. From here, the story will have your party travel the whole world, unveiling the truth about Shinra and the sinister man's true motives. And this party is really something to behold. First, we have Cloud, a brave mercenary with a giant sword. He acts like he doesn't care, but at the same time, he seems to be hiding some very, very dark secrets about his past. Then there's Barret, the leader of Avalanche, with a gun for an arm. He wants Shinra stopped and the planet saved at all cost. Tifa, an incredible fighter and Cloud's childhood friend. She's also very worried about him. And you know, everything about Tifa is just more than right. Aerith, a flower girl with a deep connection to the planet. Her role is very important to the whole Shinra scheme. Then we have Kate Seed, a strange fortune-telling machine who is a cat riding on a giant Moogle. His motives are not very clear and he is a bit shady. So then there's Red 13, representing a long-lived race of something that the game refers to as dogs, but they actually look more like cats. But anyway, Red is rescued by the team from a sad tale of being a research specimen. He also has one of the best side stories in the game, one that will make you shed a tear for sure. Then we have Sid, a pilot with broken wings whose dream was shattered, turning him into a grumpy, swearing chain smoker, who is also somehow the coolest guy on the team. That would be all for the main party that you will get for sure. But also keep your eyes peeled, because there are two more optional characters you can meet. That is, if you play your dialogue right, or beat the damn clock, and then the boss, then you can have them join your party. And those characters are Vincent, who is kind of a vampire, but in the game he's technically an undead. He also knows a lot about the whole plot and what's happening, but chooses instead not to speak about it too much. He also wears the coolest leather outfit in the history of video games, and has not so good side quest game. Then we have Yuffie, a young ninja that just wants to steal some materia from you at first, but later she becomes a comedic relief for the whole story, mostly because she is not pleased with the circumstances she finds herself after joining the party. As your party travels the world, the story slowly unfolds. We learn who the man in the black cape is, what his motives are, and what is his actual connection to Cloud. We also learn a lot about each character's backstories, making you feel for them so much more. Most importantly, we get to know more about Aerith and her significance in all this. We also learn more about Tifa, of course, which in turn makes us wonder, what is actually wrong with Cloud? Along the way, you will fight powerful bosses, travel 4 continents, and meet the Turks, who are Shinra's Men in Black agents, who are actually also my favorite antagonists right from the jump. And they just have the coolest theme song ever. And eventually, you will encounter the most tragic showdown in the video game's history. One that shook the way that storytelling can look in games overall. And the best part? That is only half of the whole Final Fantasy VII story. I'll try to stop myself now so I don't spoil too much, but be prepared for a wild, emotional ride through the whole gameplay. Next we can talk about music, or we can play it to you. The music in this game is timeless. These tracks stick to you forever once you hear them and associate them with the plot. This music has been with me for almost 30 years now. Nobuo Uematsu is known to create only godlike music. Okay, so we know that the story is great, the music is amazing, but what about the gameplay? Well, under the hood, Final Fantasy VII is a classic JRPG, with top-down view, text-driven story, and turn-based combat. But what was revolutionary at the time was taking the classic 2D look and adapting it to the 3D rendering possibilities of the PS1. This allowed for the introduction of 3D character models interacting with pre-rendered maps, and the game switching to a full 3D environment for when the battle starts. And battles and equipment mechanics is what made Final Fantasy VII truly shine. With most JRPGs, you gain experience, and then stats increase automatically when you level up. But apart from characters leveling up, in Final Fantasy VII, also the materia you have equipped levels up, which in turn unlocks more powerful options and synergies for your character creation. But let's roll back a little. What is this materia actually? I mentioned that in Final Fantasy VII World there is something called Mako, that is the planet's life energy, and that is something that Shinra is pumping up. But also, materia is Mako energy condensed into crystal form, and this materia contains special power, which is basically magic. So, you know, this tie-in of lore element to the game mechanics also opens some very unique possibilities in character progression. In order to use materia, it first needs to be put on a slot in a weapon or an armlet, like this one. Each piece of gear has different number of slots available, so this one has 2. By putting different materia inside, you unlock skills and stats increases. Each color represents different abilities. So first we have green. This is green. This is your classic spells like fire, ice, cure or sleep. Then there is yellow. Yellow gives you access to additional commands in battle like steal or double attack. Then we have purple, which gives you passive bonuses like stats increases, but also some of the automatic reactions that your character can make, like counter attacks or defending other party members. And then there is red, which is the most powerful and iconic spells, called the summons. Each summon is a different entity with a spectacular animation. Even replaying this game for the 13th time, they are always a joy to see. The most powerful summon in the game actually has an animation that lasts 1 minute and 20 seconds. And lastly, blue materia. It does nothing on its own, but it can be used to be paired with other materia to enhance them, like making them able to cast spells on all enemies, or, for example, cast the same spell 4 times. This simple mechanics unlocks vast ways to customize your characters and gives you a need to optimize when dealing with limited rare materials and limited number of slots. So, do you remember that summon with a super long animation that I just mentioned? So, with supported materia, you can now cast it 4 times, which would total to a 5-minute long unskippable animation, which is a perfect way for a coffee break without pausing the game. Let me take this green materia and then pair it with the blue materia. And there you have it. This is now Confuse All. Materia is there to deal massive damage, but your characters also have a natural option for some powerful techniques. Once your character have taken enough damage and just had enough of it, they will trigger something that is called a limit break. It's a flashy move that your character can perform, and it usually also deals massive damage. When you play it, it might seem that it takes a long time to fill the limit break bar during battles, but take my advice, do not conserve this waiting for a boss fight. That is because most characters can develop up to 7 unique moves by leveling their limit break levels through usage. Just as a word of advice from a guy that plays this game every year since it has been released. Okay, So here I am preaching that this is the best game ever, best story, best music, best mechanics. And then some of you might look at the screenshots and go, what the hell, Adim, have you even seen this? And my answer is yes. I grew up with this game, so the looks were never an issue on my side. I know that world map models are like 8 polygons. I know that their hands looks like Popeye's hands, or something that you would iron your clothes with. But let me tell you this, the creators did an amazing job bringing those small polygon models to life. They actually were able to make them convey strong emotions just with simple gestures and movement. This is a form of art itself. And the pre-rendered backgrounds? Those are small masterpieces where every pixel counts. There are still images that will tell you its own story, like for example, there is this scene between Dine and Barrett. Masterpiece. Think about what limited resource they had compared to modern possibilities and how dynamic they managed for everything to be. It pioneered so much. And it gave us Tifa. Lastly, you might ask, why play this oldie when there is a modern remake available? Well, first of all, Final Fantasy VII remakes are not on GOG yet. What if I told you that in this modern entry, the remake part doesn't just mean it was remade for a modern audience or modern platforms? What if I told you that the whole story is remade in those entries, and that it is actually a continuation and not a reboot? That's right, the whole remake is a retelling, but it's a retelling where some of the characters are aware that something is not right and that this whole thing actually happened before. So how does it actually tie together? No one knows for sure yet. We are all waiting for the story to conclude. Time enough for you, perhaps, to finish the original one. So there you have it. Final Fantasy VII, the best game ever, in my humble opinion, finally on GOG. A storytelling masterpiece with mechanics complex enough to keep you hooked until the end credits. To those of you that are still to experience it, I envy you guys so much. And to those who already shed tears of sadness and joy, why not replay it again this weekend? It is now available on GOG, DRM free, and ready to go. See ya!